What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Crash Course Mail Show. We got with us a very special guest here. We got Gary Jeffries, vocalist on the Asphalt Ballet debut. What is going on, my brother?
Wow, man. Asphalt, man. Hell of a band there. Ever since Asphalt, I've not stopped playing. I don't know. I've done several albums since then. They've mostly just been on my own and having a lot of fun with it. And just, it's all about the music to me. I enjoy music and I'm all over the road map with it, but it hasn't stopped. And it even started a little bit before Asphalt. So got a few years in it. And like my last album said, I ain't done yet.
Okay, beautiful. Yes, we will certainly get into your solo project as well. But yeah, so what one of the first questions I want to ask you though is, how are you doing, man? Because like a lot of people haven't heard from you for like 30 plus years now, which is like absolutely crazy probably for you to think about. But like what's going on with you?
Well, right after, probably the music that I have been doing doesn't get out to the same crowd, maybe that Asphalt Ballet did, because I guess probably a year and a half, 2 years after Asphalt, I was with a group called Coupe de Ville, which was kind of like a Stevie Ray Vaughan type group, had a lot of blues. The guy played dobro and really greasy slide. I did an album with that group. It was called Coupe de Ville, and the album name was LA to LA, but it was just an independent album we did ourselves that you sell at your gigs. You try to sell on CD Baby, and you do that thing, which is still gratifying because you're still writing songs. Then shortly after that, I think I went back to Los Angeles. I did that album out in Monroe, Louisiana. I went back after the Asphalt Ballet thing that went on, and I went back to Louisiana. That's where my wife and kids are. And so there I put a band, was a local band already happening, got into it and, had a lot of fun with it. But then we go back to LA. I put together a group called Grouchy Rooster. It's it's kind of swampy. It was a real fun album. It was very real because the recordings were from our rehearsals, but it ended up coming out pretty good. It only ended up on CD Baby. I think it probably is on Spotify and all those, those download stations. The Grouchy Rooster one should be on Spotify, iTunes, out there. Then I'm still writing. I'm still in LA. I put together a group called Alligator Stew, and that group, we ended up doing 3 albums. The first album, once again, did it ourselves independently. It actually did pretty good. We had a song called Blood Money, and I had contacted, it was called Great American Country. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's
can't say I've
pretty
heard
big
that.
country station, had people like Toby Keith and, the big boys.
Yep.
So I sent them a bunch of alligator claws, confetti, just some odd stuff, and the video, and a nice, sincere letter. Lo and behold, I swear to God, we got the video called Blood Money, which is a good video. We paid for ourselves with the help of a guy named Steve Malsey. He helped us too. But Blood Money went on for, I think, almost 6 weeks on that station on GAC. Really? We were sometimes in between. We got a buzz clip once. In between Toby Keith and someone else, and we thought, oh man, this is it. But the thing was, here we are, an independent band. We don't know nothing about what we're doing except recording. It could have took off. The problem they had after 6 or 7 weeks, nobody could find the album. It was really early in the CD Baby days, and we're like, whoa, let's get a bunch of albums pressed and get them out there. Anyway, well, that didn't happen. Also did an album with a group called, have you ever heard of the Regulators?
I haven't. No.
Yeah. They were a southern rock band from Los Angeles that they had some albums out on a major label and stuff, but it was more like the Skinner and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Um, okay, then after that, there was a break. As far as what I've been doing,
Mhm.
I came. I'm in Ohio now, from Los Angeles, and I've done one album. It's called Middle Class Man. It's on
Okay.
Spotify. All that. It's a southern rock album. I did another album called I Ain't Done Yet,
Mhm.
which is same thing in Spotify and all those download things. So, like I say, probably the asphalt people and the hard rockers, I doubt are hearing these, these albums, but
Mhm.
it's, I've been staying busy writing. I have one more album that came out that was just an EP. It came out last year under the Gary Jeffries band too. And
Okay.
it's on Spotify and all that.
All right. Do you have any physical copies of these albums as well, like for sale?
Yes, I do. Right now, the ones I got left are Middle Class Man and I have Ain't Done Yet.
Okay.
They're they're just good Southern rock albums.
Good, good.
Alligator Stew, I don't have any more of those. That was in 2000.
Okay.
I did that one. That group actually got signed, it was crazy, to a German label called Halicon Records,
Okay.
and so we did an album for them, and they didn't put us out touring or anything. They just helped get us out there a little bit and take probably half the money on the sales. So,
Right.
but yeah, I have, there's downloads, there's physical, what I have CDs. I don't know if CDs are like still cool, but
Oh
and
yeah.
everything downloadable, you
Over
know.
here, they're very cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Certainly. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of the viewers here, we like to collect physical media more so than use like Spotify and stuff. Like
Uh-huh.
for me, like I can't remember the last time I used Spotify. It's been years, and I never really used Spotify because I've been collecting physical media for
Uh-huh.
ever since I was 12, 13 years old, and and for reference, that was around uh 2006,
Uh-huh.
2007. So
I
yeah,
love hearing that.
yeah,
I love hearing that.
yes, yeah, I know, and
God.
like CDs, like obviously you probably seen vinyl has made like a resurgence as well.
Yes.
And even like the last like year or so, like I talked to a lot of like record store owners and stuff like that, and they're even saying like CDs are kind of coming making a comeback as well. So
Whoa. I
yes,
know. I in my truck, I don't have a CD player.
that's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy. So I had to put one in, man, because my favorite music's still on CD.
Yes.
I don't do it putting my phone in my car. I know that's whatever. And then I should learn how to do it and plug it in and listen to all the cool songs. I'm a CD guy because also if I'm on a 3-hour trip, I know what CDs I want to hear. You,
Hmm.
you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
That will take 3 hours to get there. So it's
Yep.
like, yes. So,
I
but
agree. Yeah, yeah. We're a lot of people are like that, the same way. Now, granted, like the majority still is still in the digital age and such like that, but like there's a decent amount of us that still love the physical aspect of
mhm.
music. So definitely. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna be checking out the because I checked out when we first started talking about doing this interview. Like I checked out a couple of your newer songs, and
Uh-huh,
like you said, it's that southern feel, bluesy feel. Like to me, I can see the debut Asphalt Ballet in like I could tell that's you. You know what I mean? Like
uh-huh,
it is the same to me. Because like obviously it's not going to sound the exact same. It's not going to sound
uh-huh.
any like real edgy and stuff like that. Like obviously the debut here, but I can still tell it's Gary singing. It's still Gary doing his thing. So
I hear that every once in a while. I mean, people say, and they say, well, you ain't putting the balls like you did with asphalt behind it, but you still, I can tell it's you. And
yeah,
the thing is, some of the people that I would think might not like it because it is the kind of music it is, said they really like it and they're being sincere because I know these people, they're honest.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
told me in the past, you know. So
Exactly, and I like specifically, like, what you're doing because, like, I'm a big blues fan to begin
uh-huh.
with. Like, I love, like, the Chicago blues, swamp blues, Louisiana blues, like, Delta. Like, I can de blues is my 2nd favorite genre behind, obviously, hair metal
Yeah.
style stuff, and, so, like, you're, like, right in the pocket there with me, like, your solo stuff and obviously your Asphalt stuff, and so I'm quite excited to pick up a couple copies, and for everyone watching, I'll put Gary Jeffries' link to his store in the description below as well, so
Very cool. Cause yeah, I got them sitting around here in boxes everywhere.
Yo, what's up, guys? I just wanted to jump in right here in this video and say thank you so much for watching so far and for watching all the other videos as well that we post. And also, too, if you guys want to subscribe, hang out, build this community up like it used to be back in the golden era. So if you guys are down with that, I have nothing else for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will get right back into this video. All right, brother. So, well, first and foremost, we do have Gary here. So we got to talk a little bit about the debut, if you don't mind, of Asphalt
Of
Ballet.
asphalt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
now I have to admit, this is one of my favorite albums from the genre, from the hair metal genre. So, because I was around 19 years old when I first came across this album.
Oh my God.
I just graduated high school like a year after, and I remember exactly where I was when I heard these songs. Because like I
Wow.
was like working at a diner, and strangely enough, it was Tuesday morning, and it was raining when I was going to work, and I heard Tuesday's Rain,
Oh,
and I was like, okay, this is perfect. Like, and I even when I was listening to this song or this album today, it took me right back to that spot, and I'm like, this is just awesome. So
oh, thank you.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
well, and
That's a
I just
big
want to thank
compliment.
you too for making an absolute awesome album, you and the boys, back in 1991. So
Wow. You know what? I just got to say, for me, I'm, I've, I've, I've been in the business quite a long time and proud of that.
mhm,
Uh, and played with a lot of music. Asphalt Ballet, honestly, was one of the hardest working bands by far that
mhm,
I've ever worked in. You know, we
okay,
were 6 nights a week. We were fucking starving for you. Excuse my language. We were all hungry. And it was really crazy how we met. You know, I went to this rehearsal studio to try out for a Alex somebody. He was a guitar god, on
mhm,
RCA Records. Really good guy and everything. And so I went into his to do the tryout, and the problem was he's incredible, and he really didn't need a singer, and it was obvious that he didn't need a singer. And it was cool. I think we had a mutual agreement that I didn't fit.
okay,
And but I appreciated to be able to try out for him because he was good and cool, and I think he's still out today doing something. But anyway, I walked down the hall, and the owner of the rehearsal studio says, "Man, there's some guys over here you might like. They kind of look like you."
yeah,
And um, she says they're auditioning singers. So I never met them,
right,
and go in there, and they go, when you went audition, and they had words, kind of had ideas worked up and stuff. And I said, well, how about right now? You know,
okay,
because thing is, they're doing original music.
mhm,
Jay, I look at the lyrics and they're like, they're fucking great. God, they're great, man. So I'm already getting this mojo hooty doo going on, man. And
okay,
you can ask the boys. So we get the lyrics. I'm like, okay, here goes the key. What key we doing this in? But he's got these lyrics, and they're rhythmically easy to sing to. Man, first song, we went through it almost like we'd been rehearsing it. The
really,
way things were fitting. We might have to stop 2 or 3 times. And Jay or somebody gets, okay, Jay was the one that had the idea on the syllables, anyway, we'd
mhm,
stop, we'd hit it. Man, after 3 or 4 times, it was like, whoa. We all looked at each other, and you know how a puzzle fits perfect.
mhm,
And this happens very seldom in rock and roll. I think you find that quick.
Mhm.
We all looked at each other kind of like, what the fuck was that? You know, but I was still doing it like a Southern rock style, but putting a bigger set of balls under it, you know,
Yeah, yep.
just kind of pushing it. But I got to sing more of a blues style, which is what I wanted, because I also came to LA and there was this group called Passion. Great band, but they were
Okay.
more wanting to be like Poison, you know, that kind
Okay. Yeah.
of thing. But anyway, so I thought, oh shit, I can't alter that. Then we went through maybe a couple more ideas they went and wanted, and it didn't take us 30 minutes to decide. Well, I got the job, you know. So I was so fortunate because I could be who I was, but just push it a little harder. We had
Mhm.
great songwriters. Matter of fact, lyrically, we were just as depressing as Nirvana or any of
Yeah.
the other. You know, some of our lyrics, if they really would read them, they'd get it. And it wasn't all about drugs, you know, but we were there, but we were kind of caught in a time warp where also, man, are you supposed to wear your hair big or what?
Yep.
Because everybody wants you to have an image in LA. I went there and the first band, I had a goatee, mustache. They go, oh, dude, you fucking can't wear that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? What do you think about eyeliner? I go, what?
Yeah,
So,
no facial hair. Can't have facial hair out there, you know?
no, you got to cut that off. So I'm like, okay, I'm adjusting here. But Asphalt, you know, definitely one of the hardest working bands. And we clicked like a motherfucker. You know,
Yeah,
I
awesome.
remember we went into this when we recorded our album, we recorded in the same studio as Guns N' Roses recorded Appetite for Destruction. You
Okay.
know, it was, this was before your time, but
Yeah.
the people that owned its name was Captain and Tennille.
Okay.
You probably never heard of them, but they were popular in their day, and so it was really cool for starters to be in that studio. Also, while we're there, which give you a little more mojo and a little more of that, whew, I don't know, that
Yep.
rock star feel. Just down the hall, Tom Petty is recording Last Dance with Mary Jane,
Right.
you know, and we got to meet him, you know, and it was fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it was fun. Last Dance with Mary Jane. And anyway, it just, the studio, we went in there and clicked. It was the first time I had used what they called Pro Tools. You know,
Okay.
I was used to, you know, tapes and stuff like that in my earlier years. And
Right.
so it was a changeover, but God, it went, the recording session, I think, took us a couple of weeks. And, you know, we did some stuff in there live. He did 5 songs that we just did real quick. And I think there's somewhere out there
Okay.
on CD if you can find them. And they sound incredible. Matter of fact, there was 2 songs on that no one's never heard. And they were badass, you know. So,
Okay. Very
but
cool.
we clicked, you know.
All right. Well, and to your point too, like you said, 1991, like you don't know, like you guys had very serious lyrics. That's how I like to explain it to people, because like at the time, you had the thing called like sleaze metal coming
Oh,
about, and like you guys don't necessarily fall in the sleaze metal category, like say Love Hate or Spread Eagle or Nasty Idols and such, but like
uh-huh,
you guys are like right there, like along with Junkyard a little bit. You bring a little bit more blues to it and more real life, and I think that's like just where hair metal was going in general. And that's why I
uh-huh,
think like 1990, 1993 is like the best era of hair metal because it
uh-huh.
brought seriousness. You guys still had like that fun though too. Like it wasn't all depressive,
No.
but you brought real life to it. They're like seriousness and stuff. And I think that's why I like so much about this album as well,
And,
and also the bluesiness to it as well. So
mhm. It was a great live band too, because I always thought, and I've always been picky on our stage show sound, and just like the album, sometimes you'll go to a show and I know there's things that go wrong, but pretty picky. I want it to sound like the album. What we do, yeah. Asphalt
Right.
Ballet sometimes I thought sounded better than the album. You know, we went
Okay.
in our live feel and you get that thing going and then you're sucking up the crowd's thing, you know, that's going into you. And fuck,
Yep.
we
It
were
just
a great
translate
live
the crowd's energy translate to you guys putting out the extra energy, like even more energy then, right?
band. Oh God, yes. Or even on Soul Survive, man,
Uh,
the song just came out. I swear to God. Um, you could put your mic out there, and that's one of them times where you're thinking, whoa, I've waited this all my life. And they're singing, My Soul Survives. I'm going,
yep. Yeah.
fucking, you know, that'll make you cry. You know,
Yeah. That's
it's just,
awesome.
oh, and it makes you better on stage. You
Oh
know,
yeah. It makes you want to go that extra mile to put on a great show then.
oh, you sure do. And they're
Mhm.
going to get it. You know,
Yes. So that kind of leads me to the question on the album. Like, was there one song that you guys kind of pretty much did right away, like in one take, like was real easy for you? And then was there one song that was the complete opposite for you on that album? Like that was just a bitch to record, basically.
man, I honestly, from what I remember and believe, expect, especially with the experience I've had doing some more albums,
Hmm.
we we had polished in pre-production our thing down so freaking tight. I
Okay.
mean, we worked on we had a guy that Greg Edwards, he had produced John Cougar's album with Scarecrow on it, and he
Okay.
was a great producer. So he came into our rehearsals, and we started checking little things like how many beats per minute that song is. Does that allow Gary enough to get his full words in comfortably, but still have a nice beat to it? But we went through tempos and everything ahead of time. So I felt like when we went into the studio, we pretty much, they might not have been all maybe one takers,
Uh
but
huh.
sometimes three takers, four.
Okay.
We didn't do a whole lot of ton of overdubbing and stuff,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
I think I ended up recording. Yes, I did. We tried all those cool those mics, you know, you see in the studios, the you know, what, probably $20,000 mics.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end, what I got to use, which I'm very thankful. Um, I use, you've heard of the SM58s that everybody uses in concerts. I mean,
Okay.
everybody. It's the round ball on a Shure microphone.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, he put me in the bathroom with that SM58. Fuck, I we did at least three quarters of the album with that microphone. We might have did there was an acoustic song called "Do It All Over Again" on that album. I
Yep.
most know that one, and
Yep.
it's we might have used a good mic on that, but basically an SM58 in the bathroom, and just it just and vocally, I think I I might have had a one taker every, you know, they might have did a one taker, or they'd keep that first one and then say, well, like, let me see, that fucker was hot. Let me see here, you know, and then we do a few more. My thing was too, it's hard for me to, I know this is probably the proper way as a singer. You should go in there and some sing line for line, you know?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
can't do that, you know. I got to at least sing the whole verse, you know, and then maybe we can. But some of them I'd sing the whole thing all the way through. And he goes, wouldn't your air be better if you? I go, well, maybe. I said, but the excitement and the live feel of
Yeah.
singing them all the way for me is pretty much how I've done it all my life, you know. And
Hmm.
I think that one was, we vocally, I know, and well, the whole band, we were totally done with everything in 2 weeks, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
We
That's very short time. Yeah.
it was, and it had, it gave it a little bit more of a little bit more live feel when you
Yeah. A
are
little rawer.
a little rawer. That's the word. Thank you.
Mhm.
You know.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
and you can certainly hear that as well because it's obviously not overly produced, in my opinion. It has a really good sound, but it doesn't sound dated though either. It should, like you said, like it's raw, so it's always gonna
Yeah.
have that feel to it. So
Yes. I like that too. I like the rawness. You know.
I agree, and that's why I think like you guys had, like, the element of sleaze metal, you know, but, like, you guys are, like, right in between of, like, a couple different subgenres within, like, the hair metal genre, so,
Yeah.
definitely but, like, you guys are, like, a one of a kind as well, like I said, like, Junkyard's very similar, you know,
Mhm.
or even, like, War Babies is kind of a little similar as
You
well.
got that right. War
Yep,
Babies and Spread Eagle had a few things because those were two bands that came out about the same time we did. Both of
yep,
those bands I like a lot too. I
okay.
think it was it War Babies or Spread Eagle? I which one had the cross on their in one of the videos? He came out. You seen this cross that was kind of floating
I
across?
was it a very, like, dark video?
Yes,
Yeah, that's War Babies, yeah.
War Babies.
Yep,
Now, I think it was them. We had actually talked. I was working with the manager out here, and maybe they lost their singer. I don't know what had happened totally.
mhm,
And we got talking a little bit, like for a vocal job, and because I was
okay.
back in LA, after I was getting everything under control back there after a couple of years and I got back into town. It might not even been 2 years, but we did because them were both of those bands were
Mhm.
pretty really cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really liked them.
Mhm. Yeah, they brought an edge and serious, like, street level feel to, like, hair metal again, or
They,
glam metal, whatever you wanna call it back then, you know, like, what it brought an edge and a, uh, very risky sounding, if you will, you know, like, danger, like, you're listening to it and you're in the city or, like, you're in like, you're just in danger while you're listening to it, you know? I don't know
yeah,
how else to really explain it.
and they were from Seattle, so they got a little
That's
bit of
right.
that feel of some Seattle, and I thought, man, these guys could bust it loose. They got a little Seattle, not grunge totally, but
Right, right.
I thought, hmm, it just
I know that's like one band I feel like could have just kept going and doing what they were doing and still be somewhat still be accepted
yeah,
after 1992, you know?
yeah, they were close on that, and they were even advertisement, another band from Seattle. So it was like, but it seemed like though when Nirvana and all them came out, man, it just was wiping out
Yeah, yeah,
metal, and
yeah.
hard
If
rock. And even your labels at that time were like doubting you, thinking, well, yeah, guys, yeah, you're cool and you're good, man. But maybe, it's like they knew
yeah.
that something was up.
If you had one inkling of even a friendship to a hair metal band, you were done. You know, like it's a shame. It's one of the biggest crimes, in my opinion, of the '90s,
It
Gary. So,
I think it was too. And for us, what was even crazy was, that video Teen Spirit,
mhm.
Soul Survive was recorded by the same guy that did that. You know,
Really? Okay.
his very first video he ever did, because he used to do behind the scenes stuff. He decided he wanted to try videos.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, but I think Nirvana was his first. Asphalt Ballet was his second one.
Really?
He
Okay.
was doing a lot of that yellow tones and stuff, whatever they called that. Ozzy, I think, had done it first, actually, but this guy was doing pretty good. Uh, and he used even in ours chords hanging around that messy look. And
Yeah.
but it was like we're released on the very same day as Nirvana on radio too,
Ah,
and it's like, holy fuck, you're in town listening, you go, fuck, man, they playing them guys a hell of a lot. And
yeah.
I'm waiting on mine to get played just a little bit more. And it's happening, but not enough.
Yeah, yep. I could I always think back, even when I was younger, I was like, I felt so bad for the fans, but then at the same time, I'm like, oh my god, I feel even worse for the guys in the bands, of that time. Just overnight, just life totally changed.
It did. I sit there and I go, God damn it, excuse me, God, that's just my luck. I said, I work my ass off. I get this
Mhm.
close and this shit happens. I said, damn it, and it's yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But I think the one thing that I did learn from a little bit of that, a little was I think a lot of musicians, including myself, we're so wrapped up in trying to be maybe a rock star or a musical, that person, what I'm,
Right.
those
Yeah.
people,
Yep.
and sometimes you forget what's really best for your heart and your soul,
Mhm.
and the one thing I've learned over my lot of years here still, because I think it's been 30 years since the Asphalt Ballet thing, which definitely is the best thing that has happened in my life. um,
Mhm.
Now I do music. I don't care about all that rock star stuff, even though I'd like to play good gigs. Um, it's just making the music, writing good albums. Maybe someone will hear them, and even if you're 90, they'll go, "That motherfucker's good," and he's old now. Maybe he's got an image,
Yeah.
and they'll, you
Yeah.
know,
So you do it for you now. You do what makes you happy.
totally,
Mhm.
totally. And it's a little more rewarding, that traveling and touring and all that's really cool because that's what you dream about,
Right.
but it's what's really fulfilling is when you're playing and you're doing it for you and you hope someone else likes it. And if not, you're
Mhm.
okay, but usually they do. If it's from the heart and it's real words that touch people,
Yes.
I even got some country songs. I got one song right now that, because new country's getting pretty rocky, if you
It
know.
is.
it,
Yes.
it's rocking. I got one song that was on my last album called She's Got Me Calling. It has lyrics like, "She's a backwoods southern belle gun toting mean as hell," you know, and she's got me calling her name. Uh, a publisher out there said, "Damn, dude," he said, "if you could get that a little more sing along and a little more." So I'm working on that, and I put a bridge in
Okay.
it, and I'm
Very
gonna send
nice.
them back out, because I some of my songs are bordering on that. So I
Okay.
think I'm altering, and then I'm working on a little phony vocal style of a country singer.
Yeah. Trying to
you know,
become a little bit of a shapeshifter, are you, Gary?
yeah, I thought let me just get in the door, and then they'll see what
Yeah.
Gary's about.
But I agreed totally because like even like the past 10 years, I'll say, me and my dad always go talk back and forth about. I feel like modern country now is really taking elements of what like what made hair metal popular in the
Yeah,
80s and stuff. But now it is like I would say like the last like 3 years for country now, they're starting to really incorporate rap
yeah,
style stuff now. So I don't know, maybe that like real melodic rock feel is maybe kind of on the way out in country. I don't know. I'm not that
I
big
know.
into modern country, but that's just what I hear.
I know you don't really know that you got people like Jelly Roll. Um, I've got a song called, really, I wrote it with Danny Clarke from Asphalt. It's called Flowers on My Grave. We
Okay.
thought about trying to get it to Jelly Roll because it's very depressing,
Yeah.
but it's a good song, It's on
Okay.
the Middle Class Man album that I did, and it's a little depressing, but still good, So
Okay.
anyway, but yeah, that's kind of Asphalt definitely was the way things went down. I guess a lot I don't know if everyone knows. I didn't talk about it much,
Mhm.
Uh, I got a wife home that's now 8 months pregnant. She's been on the road, been traveling, and
Mhm.
financially. And I'm gonna keep it real simple because I can get it's um, probably one of the hardest things I really did in my life, kinda, because you
Mhm.
dream. I mean, I started playing bars at 15 years old. I did nothing but dream about being a rock star. And
Right.
you get that opportunity, and to walk away from it, it got me really mentally depressed. But like I said, I had a wife home, 8 months pregnant. We didn't make much money. You
Right.
sell half your song rights to try to get some money.
Mhm.
You you get $160 a week per diem on the road to eat on, which I sent home, but
Okay.
no health insurance, nothing, and really not family that could help us much. We don't
Right.
come from a a wealthy. So anyway, what I had to do, and I didn't do it in a good way. I had to leave the band to go home and get a job. I
Yeah.
3 days after I played, no, it was 4 days. 4 days after I played my last show in Chicago,
Okay.
I was working in a hair salon. On the other side, I color hair. I'm a
Okay.
hair color, and I've done it for 40, I've done it a long time, 40 years plus.
All
And
right.
so I was able to go out of that and get me a job in a mall. But I was watching my video on MTV. People would come in the mall and they're looking because it's a little town, West Monroe, Louisiana was,
Yeah.
and they go, "Why are you working in there? You're on TV." Well, I need money.
Yes.
They're thinking, "You ain't rich and have a mansion?" That's what they're
Yep. Yep.
insinuating. I said, "I'm so fucking broke. I can't even play in the band. I got to get a job during the day, you know?"
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't know if it's just that the grunge was in and they didn't feel worthy, because I ain't going to go and beg for money,
Right.
when I'm working my ass off, and I really,
Exactly.
and, you know, I know rock stars are, it's about the music, man. It don't matter, man. And that's cool. But I was a little older and I felt responsibility. And
Right.
it was it. And then what? 3 weeks later, I got a baby coming in. But the
Yeah.
thing was, I also had a little extra money to take her to a nicer hospital, because where we lived, it was a little bit of a rough area. And she was going to have to go to a place and I just didn't have no backing,
Yeah.
so I just did what I felt. So that's how that was. And
Okay.
I don't know if I look back at it, but try not to think about it much. I just
Right. Right.
carrying on, playing music, and I still am today.
Okay. Well, that's what's most important, that you're still here, still doing it. And
Yeah.
because that was always something I thought of too, like when I was younger, when I first listened to this album, and then when obviously the next Asphalt album comes out, you're not there. So
Yeah.
I always wondered, like, was it kind of just a mutual part in ways, or was it like a firing, or was it a label firing, or what was the story? But you did kind of answer that there. So
Yeah, it was, I left unprofessionally, for one
mhm.
thing. I regret that a little. I should have stuck around the tour and went back on the other side of the world, to California. But at my thinking right then, I'm in Chicago. It's as close as I'm going to get to my house. And
Right.
because there was times, I was taking Greyhounds to California and I had a record deal.
Yeah.
It's it don't matter. But, I guess when it came down to that, and being a little older, even in your label days, you almost have to be, you can't be over 28 and have a record deal. You know, let's just say I had to lie about my age
Hmm.
to be a little more, because I always say the reason they want that, because if you got a few more years on you, you might have a little more common sense of dude, this is not a good deal,
Right.
and
Right.
they don't want that. Or you might have family, so they don't want none of that. But so my thinking might have been a little different than if I would have been maybe 10 years younger. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I hear horror stories like that as well. Like, you're not the only one that mentioned about the age thing when it comes to labels, because a
Mhm.
band called Tangier from Philly,
Oh,
uh,
uh,
Bill Mattson, the original singer,
uh-huh.
their Four Winds album didn't do that well like the label thought it would, and they
Uh,
kind of like, now through the grapevines and stuff, one of the rumors that goes around is that he was too old. They were blaming his age, and then they
mhm,
went and got a younger singer for the next album. And
mhm,
obviously that didn't do that well either. But so you're not alone when with the age problem in a band, in a signed band, if you will.
mhm. And well, it was a little weird. And I haven't told this story. Uh, we're fixing to head out on tour, and Mickey, my drummer, comes up because knowing you're a little bit, I call it mature
Right.
singer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
you know, uh, so we're in the bus, and he whips out this picture of this guy in a band called Geronimo. He says, "Oh man, he's really good, you know." And it turns out that was the singer that sang on their next album. You know, we're fixing to leave. So at times I wondered if maybe they thought a younger singer or something would bring more to it, or more of the sound. I don't know what the new sound was as far as that goes, because I only sing the
Right.
way I sing, you know, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there might have been a certain tone and the stage present, because I know in his first video they had him all oiled up and looking good looking guy and stuff, you know, like a stud or something. But you know, and he was good. He's a good singer. I think he's a better singer even than what he was on that album, because I've heard some of his stuff and he was a good singer. I think he altered a little, and of
Mhm.
course he probably had a rough time singing some of the first album, like Hell's Kitchen and stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But I couldn't have sang his stuff either. That's all I can say about that whole thing.
Yeah.
I respected it, and there's times that I wanted to say that just ain't a good album. Fuck it, that's a shitty album. It's not. It's a fucking good album, man.
Yeah.
It's Angry Youth, great video. Any other time, it probably would be a big hit, but the
Okay.
grunge was in. The label, I think, had done kind of made their mind up on what was fixing to happen to Asphalt Ballet. Uh,
Mhm.
you could feel it. We went to one in-store record signing, CD signing,
Mhm.
and it was so embarrassing. Our record label didn't even have our CDs there.
Really?
So what we did, instead of doing a CD signing, we did an acoustic show inside the place, you know. No,
Okay.
it there was a lot of that going on. The album wasn't here, wasn't there. And so I think they kind of lost interest, you know, and
Mhm.
I think they were kind of done. And Jesus, it just was, I don't know. But it was
Yeah.
a good album, great album.
Mhm.
Some of the songs I actually got to sing and have copies of myself from the tour bus.
I well, that was gonna be my next question about that album with you. Were you a part of any of that songwriting for any of that album, or like you said, any kind of like rough demos on any of these songs for that album with
Did
you?
have several demos on it. You know, there was, yeah, not the Angry Youth one. I don't remember that, but yeah, there was one called Nothing to Do with Anything, and man,
Mhm.
I'm okay. We just did it really good on the demo, you know, and then when I heard it, it was good, but I just, and it could be because I was singing it. It made me feel that way. I don't, but I just always wanted to re-record that song, but I never had the nerve to ask him. But I did record some songs, maybe on the Middle Class Man. I recorded, let's see, Blood on the Highway. Of course,
Okay.
that sound like Asphalt. It's more Southern rock. And I recorded Heaven Winds Blow.
Okay. Very cool.
Those two, and but always I demoed Nothing to Do with Anything myself, but the way Danny and him used to do the guitar parts when we did it, and man,
Mhm.
we had some that weren't on that album that were pretty badass too, that I want to bring out of the dungeon sometime, you know, that. But
Awesome.
respect for my
Yeah.
guys who I respect a lot. um just, you can't do any of that, you know, unless
Right.
they, you know, if we all did it together, maybe, you know, you just,
Okay.
but no way, you know.
I
I
got you. Yeah.
still love, you know.
I, one of the questions, or like one of the songs on here, I wanted to ask: did you have any part of "Save the Children" or like "God Save the Children"? It's kind of like a ballady feel. Did you remember doing any demo with that, or any writing or anything?
God, I don't remember any on that one, but I'd
Okay.
probably have to listen to it again, because sometimes titles of the song
Yeah,
change
I
and
I
everything else. And I
I'm
need
with
to
you.
listen to the album again too. I've listened to it several times, especially when it first came out. And it, as bad as I hated to admit it, it was a good album. Good playing. They had a little different image and could make
Right.
cross into that thing, because still had good lyrics. It could be current, and
Yeah.
good album, but them bands were going out.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the best way I could describe Pigs is
Uh-huh.
a poor man's War Babies.
Uh-huh.
A little bit. It has that tone, that vibe a little bit. Uh,
It did.
yeah. Okay.
It,
Yeah, so, like, if you like War Babies, you probably would enjoy a decent amount of Pigs, but
yeah,
it's to me, it's just not the same band without your voice, and then obviously with, the vocalist for, Pigs here. Like, it's 2 di to me, it feels like 2 different bands, you
it
know?
does. It took two different ways. There was people that might have liked it, but I don't think it went over as good. And I hate to say, I mean, it was good and everything. Their video was good, but I don't think people were in such a shock over it. I think maybe, or
Right.
maybe just that music was out, but
Yeah, that's probably what the lion's share of the blame would probably be for just 1993, just wrong time, you know?
wrong time, that's just, but I don't know. I was singing more blues based rock, with a whole different feel, putting things in like harmonicas and
Yes, and
thing. I would have,
you guys even had horns on
oh,
some of
yes,
your
we
songs.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that, I love
Three
that.
horns. I think it was down at the end of my rope. And then a
Yep,
song called Blue Movie. We had a
that
sax.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's like a little bit of jazzy thrown into it, like
Yeah,
slow jazz.
dude, you're not going to believe this one.
Okay.
My new band that I've got together right now.
Uh-huh.
I got well, I have good players, really good, some good players. I got a young drummer that's got a lot of energy, but I also picked up a girl saxophone player
Okay.
that is like really good. She also
Okay.
plays some keyboards. But when you put a sax in with good rockin' music, it sounds totally different, but
It
it can
does.
still be very cool because it's going to have that edge. It
Mhm.
just I
I
can't wait.
100%. I 100% agree with you. I think horns belong in all of metal. Maybe not every song or anything, but like in the right spots, it works.
Yep.
You know,
Even if
I
it's
agree.
2 3 songs on an album, but like you say, if it's in the right spots, just that flavor, just it separates it from something that stands out,
Yes.
every day, and oh man, we did a rehearsal last week, and then my drummer had recorded some of it, and man, the sax, man, it just changed it in a cool
Yeah.
way. Also, she sings good, so I don't know what I'm going to come up with. Whatever it is, it's just going to be real and what it is. Because my guitar player, he can do metal, or he's way into Southern rock too. He can do about anything. Great guitarist. My
Okay.
drummer, I got a good band. I started getting the fever again a little bit.
Good, good. Yeah, that's how we like Gary. We like Gary getting that creativity going again, getting
Oh,
that
thank.
desire.
Well, it's like you, and when you do these, because I haven't done anything. I played out a lot, but as far as getting on social media and being active with podcasts, you were the
Right.
first one to hit me up on it. I thought,
Okay.
holy fuck, wow, someone remembers. Oh, Gare Dog here.
Yeah.
you know,
Hey, someone has to remember this great album. Someone has to remember it.
Yeah, yeah. I forget that sometimes because I still see more remarks about that album that are still even current, So I'm going,
Okay.
it was good. And, but yeah, but I'm it's, it's lit me a fire. This podcast, and I had another one, and I've got some other things have been buzzing up that have been like, what's this all about? I mean, some little connections that I came
Right.
across that got a hold of me, and I'm like, wow, okay. So, because, you know, rock music, there hasn't even been many bands chart on the top 20 charts lately, you know?
No.
So, rock music's been a tough one,
Oh,
but
yeah. Yeah, certainly it's as far as the mainstream, it's on life support as far as rock and metal,
it
you
is. It
know? Mhm.
is, damn it. And it's got to take something to spark it back.
I agree.
And I
Yes.
hope that's the old man that might do that.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know what that spark's gonna be necessarily, but
Yeah,
we gotta try. We gotta
you
try.
got to try. And
Yep.
even if you don't do the spark, it's fun trying and dreaming. You know?
Yes, yes, it is.
Makes a
Ah,
better day.
but Gary, my man, this has been great, man. Thank you so much for coming on and let me talk a little bit about the greatness of your debut album as well.
Oh,
So
thank you. I appreciate it. I still to this day listen to it and I think it still sounds current, you know. So,
yeah, I'm
but
with
thank
you. Of
I appreciate you having me on here. You know,
course.
I'll keep you updated on everything because I don't know what the new sound's going to be, but I will be doing a new album this summer, and
Okay.
it's going to have a saxophone on it.
Beautiful.
I don't know if I'm going to bring in. I thought about hitting up certain players to do it with me too. Maybe get some that I've worked with in the past. See if
Okay.
I'm just trying to feel out what I want to do because my next thing has got to be exceptional. You know,
Okay.
or no use to do it. You
Yeah.
know.
Yep. Good deal. So, guys, I will put everything that you can find Gary, where you can find Gary, in the description below if you guys want to follow him and check out what he's doing. Keep up to date. And Gary, my man, thank you so much again for coming
Man,
on.
I appreciate you having me on here. It was a lot of fun, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, guys, let us know in the comments. Say hi to Gary. Let us know what you thought of this interview. And, guys, until next time, stay out of that collateral damage. That's Gary Jeffries from Asphalt Ballet and also his solo projects.
Keep
And I'm
rocking.
Crash. Yeah, we'll see
Keep
you
rocking.
guys later.
Later.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.